I mean, you look at the key issues like affordable housing. Look at the homelessness, some of the things going on. My first 30 days in, I told the manager I want to be on the phone with Jacksonville and Charlotte because they both stood up affordable housing departments. What did they do? Well, one of them started a housing trust, land trust. So you put a little bit away. If a property comes up on the corner, the city buys it. Then you can start building an inventory, and then we have a zoning department that, as counselors and staff, can influence
rezoning, and then
so,
you can.
But we haven't done that. We've depended on developers to do good. And again, I don't know about y'all, but I know developers' goal is to make money.
Yes.
Making money is doing good.
Right.
That doesn't solve the problem.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Your Peak Life podcast. I go by DJ Julian Rivera, Do You Thing. We have a slew of guests in here today and some familiar faces and a new face. We have Councilman Chris Taylor in the house, also running for Mayor Virginia Beach.
Yes, sir. City of Virginia Beach,
we know
2024.
Boom. We got Mr. Mike Little.
I'm just here to support and ask some questions.
We got Mr. Edgar Munoz.
I'm back.
Yeah, Mr. Munoz in the house. But Chris, we want to thank you for coming into the show today, bro. Seriously.
Absolutely.
And you're on an amazing journey right now, to say the least. I think you said the number before we started, 64 days until a decision.
64 days until
right.
November 5th, yes.
So give us like your backstory. Like you're currently serving on City Council of Virginia Beach, right?
Yep, currently City Councilman District 8, so covers from Thalia, Malibu, Kings Grant, Little Neck, Chesapeake Colony, Trentwood, Wave Church, to John B. Dodd, Cox High School, and then the district ends right at the Lesnar Bridge, Chicks, Bubbles. So a pretty high net worth in district. Great schools. We got the #1 school, Kingston Elementary School, in the state. A lot of business people, a lot of professionals, a lot of real estate individuals, and more importantly, a lot of young people. And that's why I ran for office in the first place, was I didn't see really any young people stepping up to run.
Right.
And I think that's troubling in a society if you just have one demographic and then it's nothing else. And so that was my motivation to shift being an entrepreneur and kind of focus on public service in my hometown. Gotcha.
And you stepped on the city council. You won. You were elected into city council. What year again?
2022.
22. Okay, so you've been on there for 2 years, for lack of better words.
I saw the percentage you won by too, by the way.
With 3 people. So
I know.
It was,
I saw. Well, because we had some questions. You were coming in today, and people said, "What's his affiliation?" I went and looked it up. You're independent, right? But he won that, by a landslide. I'll say it for you because you're going to be humble and be politically correct,
Right.
But that's quite the performance for first time. I mean, yeah. What was that campaign like?
Yeah.
How did you get that accomplishment?
It's interesting because I was running around that night thinking I had to get to 50%. I didn't know. I mean,
yeah.
And so I'm sitting here stressing, and I get a call, and they're like, "Yeah, your race is over at 7:00," and I'm going, "What do you mean? I'm at 41%." They go, "Dude, there's 2 other people in the race. This is done." And
yeah,
so
you were done at 34.
Yeah, so I didn't know, but it was interesting, and I'll kind of start just a little background. I'm born and raised in Virginia Beach. My family's been here 200 years. My mom and her sisters integrated the elementary school that my kindergartner and second grader go to now.
Okay.
So we've been here a little while. Great-grandmother and her mother bought land in 1918 on the farm. They were free. So I've always been surrounded around individuals that didn't care about barriers. They just kept moving forward. My dad was born in SeaTac at the ocean front, single mother, in the early 50s. And it was a peaceful place. It wasn't the hood. It wasn't bad. It was just oceanfront property that had a lot of one ethnicity. And so my whole upbringing has been work hard, play the game, win. So when you relate that to business or life, when I signed up to run for office in 2021, I started exploring. There was a gentleman, rest in peace, Louis Jones, on council, former vice mayor, former mayor, owner of Holloman Brown Funeral Homes. Yep. And first thing I did was I went and saw him. And he was a pretty intimidating cat. I mean, owns 11 funeral homes, vice mayor, been on council 20 some years. He's the reason we basically got drinking water in Virginia Beach. He helped negotiate that Lake Gaston deal.
Wow.
And so I went and met with him, and he said, I like you because you're the first guy to come and see me in 40 years. And I was like, okay, that's what's up. And he said, but I'm gonna blow you out. Like I'm gonna spend $200,000.
Just
got
so you
sign
know.
locations everywhere. You ain't really got no shot. And he said, and I hope you got tough skin. And so I looked at him and I said, well, I just want to give you a little background. My great grandma, she lived to be 105, and she was a little girl running around the farm and acting up one day. And her grandma, who lived to be over 100, full-blooded Indian, grabbed her up, took her to the wood pile, sharpened up the axe, put it to the back of her neck, and said, we ain't gonna have no little demons running around here. I said, I think I got tough skin. See you in November. And so, we have to, I think, whether you're peaking in your family, peaking in business, or peaking in politics, you have to have the confidence that when you step in that arena, that you have an ability to present your talents and you're going to win. And so I entered in. I didn't know he ended up passing away in June, right before the race.
Oh, wow.
But we had another Republican in the race, and then the Democrats went and recruited a former Navy captain who had a great career. He actually he went to school with my mom.
Oh, wow.
And at Kings Grant. And so here I am with a guy that's a Navy captain in this Virginia Beach.
Right.
And I got a Republican woman that's a former fraud investigator that lives in Thalia, and she's got a following. And here I am kind of in the middle. And so what I did, I just focused on meeting the people, letting them know what I wanted to do, my goals, and that I was local and I wasn't going anywhere. And at the end of the day, it wasn't just the percentage or the margin. We ended up winning 14 out of 14 precincts.
Wow.
So they couldn't pick off even one precinct. And that gave me the confidence that the strategy that we used, the campaign, it was effective. And I know that's big for y'all because you can't be peaking and you're not effective.
Correct.
Or efficient. And so, but then it turned in from campaigning to now you got to govern. And it doesn't matter how good you are when you're doing something new. As I said, I was naive. I thought I needed 50%.
Right.
And so now it was focusing on how do I govern in a manner that is just as valuable as the campaign was. And so that's just a little bit of my background, but that was the campaign. And I didn't realize, but to the politicians, they saw something because, like I said, 14 out of 14, 42% with two people. That was significant in the game of politics.
And you say that your grandmother said good manners and respect will take you further than money.
She used to just preach that good manners will take you further than money, Chris. Good manners will take you further than money.
And Mr. Brown was my first investor when I started in real estate. I actually bought my personal house. I live to this day from him.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
World.
So I was
That's
I knew
amazing.
him. And I'd go have a
So that was his father-in-law. So he married into that family.
No. First of all, you've been sitting on this. He
told
came
none of
ready. Nobody knew. I love it.
and
That's cool.
because I knew him personally in a different way, obviously from the business aspect, and it was just cut the check, right? We'd find
That is
a
great.
couple of lots to remodel and cut the check.
You don't find that often in.
No, it was, and he was about it. He was just like, here's $1 million, spend it.
Wow. That's a peak.
Yeah, it was because we would go see him, and it was just
That's
like he'd be
awesome,
sitting
though.
in his living room, which you went to go see him, so I know what it looks like.
I was in
And
the
then
room, but
having this
I had the
drink.
benefit of being in the room with the urns behind his desk, and it was dark. It was like
Yes.
like the Godfather.
Yes.
and he
That's
shows up at the
awesome,
door, and
man.
I'm like,
with
oh,
his drink and.
it was real.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
And because I would go see him, it's like, I need you to sign this, that, and the other. This is what we got.
That's what's up. It's a small community.
And which is interesting. And he was a character, not many words, but it's cool to see you actually here now, and then also your grandmother's words, which is, I think, very, very true. Was that money doesn't buy class
Absolutely.
either?
It only amplifies who you are,
Exactly.
So that could speak to his character. Just like him doing business with you. What time frame was this?
This was late 2017 into 2019.
So you're actually pretty much brand new in the area and to the scene.
Yes.
And he entrusted you based on character and performance. It didn't matter that you were new here or new to the business. You were doing your job.
Right.
Yeah. I stopped doing business with him.
But that's
around 2019.
that's awesome. But that's awesome. Like Not many people doing that. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So
I mean, then leveling up too. Now you've also been been in council now for around 2 years, and then there was another pivot. That you're a very goal oriented guy. I've known Chris for a very long time. All right, he hits the goals. What's next? But when he hits the goals, he ensures he did exactly what he was supposed to do, not what he needed to do, because he has the goals, he hits it, and then he executes whatever those goals are. Not like, hey, I'm here, cool.
So
Leave me alone.
I had a question right along that line of, you made kind of mention of it. You had this new role, and what people don't understand is you can prepare all you want.
Yeah.
When it happens, so the last couple of years, I'm sure, have been riddled with lessons learned, is what we called them in the military. You know?
I mean, Big Mama, you call that wisdom earned.
Yeah.
Wisdom comes through experience, and then based on what you do with that experience, hopefully is the lesson. And so the thing I realized very quickly was I was not going to be able to be as active in my business. I was a founder of Smoothie Stop, and I don't think oftentimes people understand founder is a role. It doesn't mean I want to be there every day. The goal is to start it, build it, and move on.
I like Smoothie
And
Stop,
so,
man.
when I ran for office, we had 6 locations, and I had scaled it up with our team, had a lot of money invested in the business, and here I was now, a public servant, expected to serve and have honor to the duty that I've committed to. And I realized very quickly there's no way I could be in the store. I remember 3 weeks after I won, I'm in there making a strawberry banana and a lunch crunch for one of my landlords who's worth several $100 million, and my phone's going off as the city manager, and I'm like, I can't be interrupting customers doing this to do the business. And so I decided in September 2023 to step away from the business day to day, which was a big deal because I had spent blood, sweat, tears, everything I had put in the business to grow it. And then when I announced to run for mayor, we were down to 2 locations, and today we have 1 location. And so that's also, I think, important to the title of your podcast is you can be peaking and still make room for efficiencies. You have to acknowledge what you can do and what you can't do. And the first thing I realized on council was my advantage was I would sit down and get my packet and I would read it all. And so when we got to the table,
You were prepared.
I oftentimes was one of the only ones that was prepared, and I knew what was coming at us versus trying to flip through the packet. You don't have time to go talk to staff when you're at the table. You don't have time when a constituent has a need to go figure it out.
Facts.
But that was consuming 4 or 5 hours at a time to sit down and read, a packet that's 200 pages. And this is on policy, this is on land use, this is on zoning, this is on anything you can think of in the larger city of Virginia.
Impactful data.
And that was kind of the shift where I realized if I'm going to do this all in, I got to kind of make some hard decisions. And Julian knows, no entrepreneur wants to build something
And then shut it
step
down.
away before it's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the hardest lessons I learned, that you can set a goal. And I set the goal to run for mayor in 2012. I was in New Kent, and it was actually a guy from New York talking a lot of trash. And you guys are high performers. I don't really do well with people talking trash to me.
Motivation.
And we were at the bar. Julian was actually DJing the event. And this guy, he's from Rochester, New York. He's talking big and bad. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be the first mayor, first black mayor of Virginia Beach. And he goes, yeah, really? And I said, mark my words. And it was 2012. So you fast forward, that's 12 years. And when I sit in the seat now and I realize what I'm doing for my city, yes, there was motivation because he was talking trash, but when that came out of my mouth, and you guys are big and I'm speaking your dreams, speaking things to life,
Absolutely.
it was already in motion.
Yep.
And so, bringing that full circle, now it's easy to wake up daily and go, you know what, my first priority is number 1, my family, my kids, my wife, but then I got to go into the community and serve to make sure that we're implementing and executing exactly what you said, the platform, because oftentimes your politicians promise,
Right.
show up, and then when it's time to govern,
Well,
we don't see what was campaigned on.
we don't actually see the action. And then some of those things is we're big on mentoring, and that's some of the stuff that I saw that you're going for the community. Mentoring and creating programs for mentoring around the community. Which I think is great.
2017, I founded helped found the Boys Club at Kings Grant Elementary School, and I just showed up every week, 1 hour a week, and we mentored young boys, and they were all different races, all different demographics, and we reduced visits to the office by 80% in about 3 months.
Yeah.
And so that was good for the administrators.
I love that.
That was
awesome.
good for the children. And then even last year, in the midst of, winding down stores, kindergartner, family, newborn, I still went every week that I could and mentored those boys. And we had 11 boys graduate the program. And I just reached out to the school this year and said, I'll be back. And they go, you're running for mayor. I said, I'll be back. That's in me. Like, I love coaching. I love seeing young men and women actually realize that they're not a trouble kid. They just got a trouble home. If you don't eat that night and you come to school the next day, you got an attitude. So that's important for me.
That hits home for me personally because I grew up very rough. So we call them at-risk youth instead of troubled.
Say where you were. So he understands it's not just a troubled home.
I mean, yeah. So I grew up in foster care.
Okay.
Ward to the state. My mother's file with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts was over 1,500 pages. She took me to meet my dad. He went to prison. Like, I just met him. Then he went to prison. So I was living with his ex-wife and their kids. So I say all that to say that you're right. But some people, those kids, they think they're the problem. And they almost never are, right? So it's important for people that have been there and done that to be in those rooms, but also for someone like yourself to say, like, for me, the fact that you're running for mayor only means that you should be there more so. And not that you're going to a place where you're above us, which is how some people might act, which is why our first interaction when you came to the training, and even right now, I appreciate who and what you are and what you're doing, and I think you need to know that. So,
Amen. Well, we need guys that are going to be in these seats. I mean, we have an opportunity here this year. Forget the mayor's race. We have an opportunity that we have someone that wants to go find business people, professionals that want to give back and open the door. So you don't got to figure out, how do I mentor? Do I need to write a manual? We have tons of elementary schools. The first thing I ask them, what do you need? They don't need more resources. We got a $900 million school budget.
right.
If they listen to this, they'll tell you they need more resources.
Yeah.
But the first thing they say is, we need men of color, men or women, to come in our schools to mentor people. And I'm talking about an hour a week,
Right.
sitting down and eating lunch with them.
Yes.
We're not getting deep. We're
Right.
just eating and having someone that's not judging them, someone that's not criticizing them, someone that's not telling them they're bad. And last year, once we set the tone, I said, what do you all want to focus on? And we ended up picking leadership, accountability, and respect.
Love it.
And this is second and third graders. And so by the end of the year, it was great because you stepped in on Monday, Little, and that Johnny had an issue on Friday
Yeah.
in class. Well, we didn't just skate over the issue. Johnny, was it leadership, responsibility, or accountability? He goes, I was disrespectful. And I would go, are you accountable for that? Yes, that's why I write it down. That's a leader. And so we turned it into something positive versus the disrespect is negative and you get in trouble.
Man, I wish I had people like that. You know what I mean? Like,
we all needed it.
You sitting in a room, lost, neglected, wondering why this is happening to you.
Yep.
The city councilman comes in and talks to you, like.
And it wasn't until the end of the year that they actually connected what that even meant. They were just happy the dude was coming every week.
Right,
but then they're
right.
like,
But
you're
n-
running for mayor? You're the city councilman?
But now these are city leaders, which also embeds in them hope. You know what I mean?
Which we all need.
So
Yeah, because you're heavily involved in the church, so it's not also just this man of faith. It's a city leader, and I think that
Yes.
carries different weight when you're interacting.
And you
with
got to
them.
kind of it's a thin line, a very thin line, because, nobody wants to be preached to, proselytized
There you
to.
go.
right.
But I mean, I was ordained in 2015, sent out. I got a presidential scholarship to seminary, and I didn't feel that was the way to go because it was like they were pushing me that way. And so instead, I did actually go to Fiji
No?
for 2 weeks, and that's where it was real. Like you see a little kid, his backyard's a Pacific Ocean, but he's playing with a wheelbarrow.
Yep.
There's no Nintendo Wii, there's no Switch, there's no iPhone, and
And
he's
they listen
content.
to their parents.
Yeah, they're content.
Yes.
They're smiling. They're happy. And I'm going, if we could get just a little bit of this back, I'm grateful for our nation and the things we have. But it wasn't only humbling; they were open to. I'll just tell you quickly. I'm sitting down eating with them, and they say, "You're the first person that's come here and sat down and eating with us." I said, "What do you mean? Y'all have had mission trips every?" They go, "No, they go on their own."
Right.
And I go, "Why would I come here
To not immerse
to
yourself.
stay with the people I came with?"
Right.
And so by day 3, when I was going out into the villages, and it's real, like you go into a village, you got to ask the chief if you can come in. This is not, driving to Broad Bay and just find the house you need to go to.
Yeah.
You're sitting down Indian style with the chief, and he's going, "What do you want to talk to my people about?"
Why
And
are you
there
here?
was 2 villages that told me, "Kindly leave."
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and I'm talking to the chief, I'm talking to the kids, and they had already identified he's a warrior. He's going to be moving next. He's going to be here. But by day 3, I had the locals bringing me Fijian food because they saw me going out and working with their people, and they're like, "You're going to be hungry. It's hot." And that's what
but
I
they
think
respect it
that
too,
was a
you know?
peak for me, because here I am now ordained. Again, no experience. What does that mean? We've had a lot of religious leaders fail us. And I'm there, and I go, the people respect when you sit with them. Isn't that what we do in all of our industries? People
Break
want to know
bread,
you're
right?
listening to them, talking to them, looking them in the eye instead of on your phone, but you're saying you're listening to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I came back kind of with this renewed hope that I wasn't just wasting my time trying to do good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm married to a Samoan. She's half Samoan, half Tongan. So those families are in my house, as a matter of fact, today. This afternoon.
you get it.
I 100% get it. And part of their tradition is they send their kids back to the island for a year or two, so they get that ingrained.
Yeah.
And also from a ghetto kid, you don't want to be preached to. When you get to a certain age, it's like, oh, this pastor just wants to.
Yeah. Well, since you made me dig a little bit, tell them where you're from, Edgar.
No, I grew up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I mean, part of that culture over there, it's a gang life. And my mom used to send me every summer to Mexico, to my poor side. So I could go learn. So I wouldn't go join gangs and everything in LA. So I dug holes, warmed up my water if I wanted a warm shower, things like that. And also, I think life was a little simpler without the technology, without the money. It's just like we go out hunt and eat. That's it. And there was no stress of a 9 to 5. It's a lot of the money. It was the barter system. It was I will work for this or that. And I don't know. It was just it's easier in a different sense.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of happiness, a lot of good memories living in Mexico. But in LA, then I'm back to everything that's around me. And my dad was not around. My mom's working all day, so there's no guidance. And all my uncles are affiliated in one way or another. Those are who I look up to at that moment, right? But I don't have somebody to go and be vulnerable with.
Or come in on lunch and mentor you, or
Right, something outside
like-
of that circle. And I feel I would be a lot further along if I was mentored or educated a lot sooner. So all these little things I have taken, and I reach back out to Los Angeles, to all my family and friends, and educate them on everything I'm learning right now. Well, thanks to Mike, I've learned things about trust, whole life policies, things like that in business, where it's like I'm planting those seeds back over there where I know they're not doing that right now.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it happen in real life. And I also volunteer for the dogs program at ODS. They're not doing it this year, but they will be doing it at Fairfield Elementary. So that's me as a grown-up man, businessman, coming in, being that father figure for a lot of those children. I don't speak on that, but that is something that is necessary for those kids that may not have a father in their life.
And y'all, if you've looked at my platform, it's community.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
everything we're talking about is
100%.
community. Mentoring, volunteering. As long as you're giving back and putting something. And like I said, I got a lot of respect for Julian. I've known him since middle school, high school. One of the things that I appreciate about what y'all are doing is I can see it's entrepreneur, I can see it's business, but I also see the community aspect. and I don't like tying myself to it. And as you can imagine, we're given a lot of opportunities to go speak or
Right.
show up.
Yeah.
But if it's empty, if there's no value, I'd rather be with my family.
Right.
Yes.
If I've already sacrificed
Absolutely.
5 stores and I'm losing, I'm making 28 grand a year to do this at 40. I didn't write that goal down. But it comes with the service, and there's never service without sacrifice.
Absolutely. One of my coaches, Coach Michael Burt, he says you got to live out of your sacrifice before you can live out of your surplus.
Boom. I never heard that.
And
but
your
that's good.
surplus is going to be impact on people, not money.
But as
you know.
as men
Yep.
who, grow up sometimes with the motivation, we look at money
Yes.
as success until we learn that it's not.
Correct.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes that takes till 30, 40, 50.
Some people never learn.
Some people never learn,
You
or you
know?
get it at 5 or 6,
Yep.
which I can see a lot of y'all instilling in your children. Like my son Caleb, he goes to Wawa on every day during the school week. He better have his $1.40 for his donut, and he's going to count it out to the cashier.
Yes.
Yep. I didn't get that. My dad was climbing telephone poles out of
Yep.
the house at 5 a.m.
Yep.
And the people stop us every day in Wawa, and they're like I literally have grown men go, I wish my dad would have done that.
Yep.
I'm going, he's just counting his change out for his donut. Nah, man, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And that's community. Because I
That's
want
true.
him to grow up to add value to the community, not just extract.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've already added value to the community from yourself by volunteering yourself to even get a chance to be serving the city council, which that's already worked out. And some people would be content. They're in a position of city council. They can still have the flexibility to work a 9 to 5, run their business, whatever the case may be. But you decided before you were on city council, but now specifically after being able to see behind the curtains, next level is mayor. And that's what your goal is for 2024, is to become mayor of Virginia Beach, your hometown.
Absolutely.
And what was that pivoting point, though, that made you really think? Now, I know you said that back in 2012, I'm going to do it, but then you got on city council, and then there had to be something that just made you say, you know what, this is the year I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait till 2026, 28, 30, or whatever. This is the year.
So I kind of liken it, because I know we got I think a real estate crowd, but I know there's business people. So think about, you all here, you see a market trend. You're in the business, and you're like, all right, guys, we're really heavy on residential, but right now, if we get in multifamily, we put our chips together, the shift is going that way, and you don't want to make the pivot, but you make it, and you start seeing the fruit of it. And so I get into council, and I'm like, all right, I'm studying, I'm reading, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from the citizens saying, no one's ever called us back. No one ever came to our ribbon cutting. No one got those ditches clean that you got clean. They hadn't been clean in 18 years. And I'm going, all right, so this is valuable work because the people appreciate it. And again, as men, as entrepreneurs, as business people, we don't always get the appreciation. And
Say that again.
so when you start getting that, I'm going, all I'm doing is answering the phone. I mean, I'm doing the little things. This is not. And then my wife came to me, I mean, all respect, and she said, based on your performance on council, you could sit in this seat for the next 10, 15 years. No one's going to challenge you. And I said, but I didn't come here to sit in a seat for 15 years and be the honorable. I came here to work. And she said, if you're not going to lead, then you should come home. You're not going to sit down there for 4 more years and just go through the status quo. You're coming home with a headache. You're not complaining, but you're telling me what's going on, and you have the ability to impact and change it, because our mayor is equal to the council members. The only difference is you set the agenda. That's a big deal.
Yep.
And you're the ceremonial leader for the city on a state, national, and international level. Well, who better to represent a city than a native? Someone that knows it, someone that's family's been there. So I went to a few events, Julian, to answer the question specifically. I went down to Fort Lauderdale last November for the North American Mayor Summit on anti-Semitism and hate. And y'all know right now we got a lot going on around just hate, bigotry, bias. And I was shocked that the top 50-some cities, from Dallas, Beverly Hills, Miami, Rochester, New York, Mount Vernon, I mean, you name it, were there. Mayors, city council members. No one knew where Virginia Beach was. They thought we were smaller than Norfolk, smaller than Richmond, and in Northern Virginia. And I'm going, like, y'all, you don't know Iron Valley?
Right.
Y'all don't know us? And they were like, what are y'all ain't doing nothing. And I'm like,
That's
we need a
horrible, man.
leader that's going to actually get out of the city, go meet with other executives, because the mayors are executives.
Right.
And I realized for the past 20 years, our mayors not necessarily been content, but they haven't left the city. They haven't gone to Washington. They haven't worked with our federal leaders. They haven't got those resources here. And it's because sometimes we feel like if we're the biggest and the largest and we got things flowing, we don't need to go collaborate. We don't need to go look at anybody doing better than us.
Man.
And that was the pivot.
Go ahead, man.
That was the pivotal moment.
It's just in line, like, with my career personally. We got to a certain point here in the local market, and it was like, nobody here wants to help me. I'm very aware of that. And it's okay, by the way. I travel. You know what I'm saying? So, but I started doing different things, going to Michigan, going to Texas, going to Arizona, and hiring different coaches and just bringing everything back that we could. And now, you know, not even just me, but other people at the company go elsewhere and get coached and bring that training back. And then we stood up a training program with it. And now we allow agents that don't even work here to come get training for us at least one time. And, you know, that's valuable for them and us. But how can you grow something if you're not going where they're outperforming you? And I've been saying since I came here, which is December of 2005,
20
I served in the Navy for 14 years before I did all this for the last 5 years. We're missing the mark. Where's the professional sports team? Number one. Number two, we are the East Coast San Diego. What is happening? There's 16 military installations within 30 miles. So I'm with you. I agree with you. And it's crazy because Virginia Beach is always on that top 10 list of best ran cities in the country.
Yes.
So if we're on that list, how do these other people on that list not even know who we are?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the key issues like affordable housing. You know, look at the homelessness, some of the things going on. My first 30 days in, I told the manager I want to be on the phone with Jacksonville and Charlotte because they both stood up affordable housing departments. What did they do? Well, one of them started a housing trust, land trust. So you put a little bit away. If a property comes up on the corner, the city buys it. Then you can start building an inventory, and then we have a zoning department that, as counselors and staff, can influence
Rezoning, and then
so,
you can.
But we haven't done that. We've depended on developers to do good. And again, I don't know about y'all, but I know developers' goals to make money.
Yes.
Making money is doing good.
Right.
That doesn't
Absolutely.
solve the problem. And so again, being at that conference, and I'm going, all right, there's Mayor Suarez from Miami. I'm with the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, the council member. They weren't building a $150 million parking garage and event space called Atlantic Park. They were building a $750 million conference center addition with a brand new hotel at their port in Fort Lauderdale because all the business was coming in through the cruise ships. We got a convention center that's sitting empty half the time. We don't have a convention center hotel, and I'm telling them we're building a $330 million wave pool, and they said, aren't you across the street from the water, from the ocean? But we think, a lot of leaders think this is a good idea. And I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale, and if y'all know, Fort Lauderdale got boats out back bigger than the house.
Yeah, we rode through them. Yeah, we were there.
we know Fort Lauderdale.
We were there right before you went there. Went there for the first time.
So you realize maybe we got it good, we're doing well, but maybe there's some room to pivot.
Oh, well, it's 2024. That's the thing. Like, I'm glad you brought the convention center up because what have I been saying? I want to be the one to bring the first, like, actual sales, health, and wealth, like, real conference to the area. And I will. It's
Yeah,
like
and
I'm on stage 2 of probably about 5 stages, but that is going to happen.
And as your next mayor, I'm going to support it.
Well, I appreciate that. But that convention center needs to be filled with thought leaders from around the world because Virginia Beach deserves it. You know, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Scottsdale, pick a city in Florida,
Charlotte, don't
like,
matter.
you know,
Atlanta.
Cali, all these places. You see wealth cons, you see growth days, you see, and then you wonder why people here are thinking so small because they're not around the people that are thinking huge.
Right.
And we have the places to bring those people in and do those things.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to me. Like, for instance, a pro sports team, What is the holdup? Are you kidding me? Nobody wants to drive to DC to watch is it the Commanders now?
Do whatever they want to be
I
called.
mean, really, think about like the most successful business venture in the history of this city, mark my words now, will be a professional sports team.
Well, here's the let's go micro for a minute. Think about all of the youth sports we have here.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't, until this year on council, we hadn't invested in our Hampton Road soccer. We hadn't put any money in the Princess Anne Athletic Complex. So my best friend's Zach Baker. He's the head coach at Lynn Haven Middle School. Baseball, 4-time city champs. We got great name. Baseball is our probably biggest sport here. We have one full-size diamond. Now imagine Cal Ripken wants to come here. They want to do baseball camps. I mean, baseball is a more of a middle-class affluent. They're going to come. They're going to spin. They're going to go to the restaurants. They're going to stay in the hotels. They're going to be here for 5-6 days.
Nice.
But they won't come because we have one full-size diamond. No Virginia Beach universities outside of Virginia Wesleyan. That's my alma mater. But you can't bring in 2,000 people in a week to Wesleyan with one diamond. And so if we'd invest at the youth level, I mean, we got Mark Reynolds out of here. David Wright,
Chris Taylor,
Upton's. These are professional baseball players. Chris Taylor, yeah. I was like,
not you,
yeah.
the other one.
Wait a minute, I didn't make it.
I haven't hit no home runs.
Did not read that.
But,
Well, yeah, that's kind of to the point, though. This is a breeding ground of a lot of professional athletes, fighters, ball players, both football and basketball, baseball,
in general,
entertainers.
But we got a surf park. How many professional surfers have come out of Virginia Beach? Again, so and then you look at our ocean front, and it's a big topic we got to talk about. You're talking about peak. It's reached its peak. Who wants to come here for $300 or $400 a night and stay in a 2 or 3-star hotel that hasn't been renovated in 30 years? Not my family. The market has changed, and those cities that are better. Rehoboth Beach. Somebody just came online yesterday.
There's an Iron Valley there.
Rehoboth Beach, no sales tax on the food, no food tax. Better Airbnbs. People are skipping the beach. We're still going to be the beach, but Corolla, Moyock.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even Myrtle Beach.
We got Iron Valley there too.
So I said instead of the 150 million to put a pool across the street from the ocean, imagine if we would have given every hotel. I know it's radical. They might say it's socialistic, but imagine if you're going to make the investment with the value proposition of making the beach better. I would have rather given all the 2 and 3-star hotels $2 million and said renovate, do a facelift, because it impacts our ability to attract
Absolutely.
tourism.
Yeah.
But tourism is our draw. You're not going to the beach for $400 a night and staying in a double queen room that smells like mold. I'm sorry.
Right.
No.
People aren't doing it anymore, especially with the constrictions in the economy.
Yeah.
Well, the Airbnbs
absolutely.
is also a competition.
Yeah, I mean, I got 3 kids under 7. I don't want to stay. My wife's not staying in a hotel double. She wants some space.
She wants to be in B. She wants to be a little more privacy, and even us, when we travel as a company now, we don't go pay for hotel rooms. We go get an Airbnb. So it's like the city's really shooting themselves in the foot. And think about the diversity in this city. Most people that are here aren't going to be here long. Why wouldn't you want them to invest in your city where they have a valuable asset that's earning them income so they always come back?
I mean, to be fair, it's the most one of the top 5 transient markets in the country, and we want people leaving telling good stories.
Yes.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just organically here. There's
Well, like
no way
we
around
talked
it.
about the East Coast, San Diego. Like, I'll tell you some of the differences. In San Diego, there's a whole beach dedicated to just a dog beach.
Wow.
There is PB, Pacific Beach, where you go down that strip of bars and restaurant. Every single restaurant is a different team. So every weekend it's full of people because they're all visiting their team restaurants and they're all out there in the streets. There's an aerospace museum. There's Balboa Park, which we have, the zoo and everything. But Balboa Park is all art center, aerospace museum, everything. So it's all fun for the day. It's not just one museum.
Right.
So if you
These
look
are
at
all ideas and concepts that with a diversity of thought. I don't run on I'm the first black guy to run for mayor or Indian American, whatever. I represent an 87% white district. I didn't win because I was black.
right, yeah,
I'm trying to represent people, and when you
That's all
have
that
this many
matters.
people in Virginia Beach from the Caribbean, Latino,
Very diverse.
We don't have these major festivals. I mean, a Latina Fest.
We went to Polyfest.
But it's not advertised. We don't promote it.
No, and that's
Correct.
something me and my wife found out this year because my daughter wanted to do dances, the Polynesian dances. She wants to learn the culture. So we brought the Polynesians. They train at my house. They practice at the house. And then we quickly found out it was at the 24th Street Park.
Okay.
That it really wasn't promoted because a lot of the churches and Samoan Tongans, they have their stands there for that day. But nobody knows.
Yeah, it's people walking up going, oh,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Oh, can
What
I just
is
walk
this?
in here?
Yeah.
It's free?
Absolutely.
They absolutely did not know.
And that's an indication of a closed culture. Mm-hmm. We promote certain things, big deal. But then when it's other things, we just let it kind of naturally occur. And that's not how you peak. You know, again, I always think about Mamba culture, Kobe Bryant.
It's 2024. Year of
They're
the Mamba.
peaking at their career, but they know they got to go to practice. They know they got to eat right.
Mm-hmm.
They know they got to have nutrition. They got to get rest. There's no accidental peak.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep. One thing I noticed, you guys had because we had Eric Edwards, our other partner. He left early yesterday, I believe, because of daycare situation.
Yeah,
He has a
yeah.
newborn, and you guys had a meeting about that.
We did.
What's the ideas there? I'm just curious because we have so much military coming and going, and me.
Yeah, I actually got interviewed about that because I'm the only candidate that has children in
Right.
elementary, middle school, or high school. And so the challenge around the daycare is it's not a government responsibility to provide daycare. Even though in the city of Virginia Beach, we're the largest daycare provider through our rec centers. Most people don't know that.
So I will personally say that both of my kids spent a lot of time at the YMCA and the rec centers. So, thank you.
So one of the things I think we need to do is you first have to
At better pricing, by the way.
much better pricing. I worked at DuPont. A lot of people leave that out of my bio, but that was probably that was the peak of my professional career. Leaving this small market, I worked for a lot of big name, multifamily families around here, but the concrete was sealed. The ceiling was concrete. It wasn't even glass. And I remember my great grandmother, she said to me, so you keep filling up all their properties and you're making $40,000. She said, the ceiling, Chris, and at this time she's 101 years old. She said the ceiling's concrete, and the challenge with that is you need a jackhammer to break it, and even if you break it, it falls on your head. I was like, I gotta process that. Even
I
if I
need
try to bust through this,
I gotta hang out with grandma.
I'm gonna get hurt.
Great grandma.
And so I ended up leaving and got recruited by a buddy of mine. He went to VMI, and he was working at DuPont. They had bought a local company. And I was kind of like, I don't have an engineering degree. I don't have an MBA. I mean, DuPont's, at that time, it was Fortune 100, still is,
Yeah, huge
70,000
company.
employees,
Yeah.
$28 billion a year. And I'm thinking I'm working at SL Nesbon, which is a great local company. But I'm going, this is a big deal. And they're going, our smallest business is $900 million, Chris. You're going to be all right. You can perform.
Yeah.
And I remember getting there. Now there's training, but there's an expectation as one of the oldest companies. When you go through orientation, you sign that whether you read the book or not, you're signing that you read it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is a different level of expectation. And so I started doing the same thing I did on city council. I'm going to just do my homework. I'm going to read. I'm going to get to know the product because I was in sales. And I realized, again, everybody was going to lunch, 2-hour lunches. I'm sitting at my desk smiling and dialing. I'm not making any money, but I'm starting to get invited on the road. Come see us. Show me what you got. And it was 28 months in, and great-grandma was now 104, 2014. And I get recognized as top 10% of salespeople in the globe for DuPont. And she comes to me and she says, you need to quit. I'm like, I'm at the peak. What are you talking about quit? She goes, you need to put your 2-week notice in. If you can do it for them,
You can do it for you.
you can do it for yourself. But I had a blue-collar father and mother. So we weren't getting taught entrepreneurship, go take risks. The risk was don't go to the job.
Yeah.
That was the risk. It wasn't go start a business. The risk is, you crazy boy, you're going to go start a business. You got a college degree, you better go to work.
Yep.
And so that was, again, a peak where I realized it's okay to leave when you're having success if you don't have peace. And I didn't have peace traveling 70 nights a year on the road, And so these are things that we don't hear young people talk about. But in my family, it's like, if I don't have peace at home, I don't care how much money I got. If there's no quality of life, then it don't matter the car I'm driving. And so whoever's listening today, if you know, your peak life is going to include peace. If it doesn't, you're not peaking. And I realized that all these touch points, the best part of my career was going to an organization called DuPont Corporation, where I was the least, the most unqualified, but because of hard work, a good mentor that I had, and a lot of coaching, I was able to become a top performer, and I still left at the top. And I still use those skills today as a councilman, as a small business person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just so much, you know, in there about, you know, just working with organizations or people or companies that are doing better than you are.
Absolutely. I loved all of that.
Chris, you're running for mayor, Virginia Beach. That right there is a success in my book, and in my eyes, at least. But when you win, what are you gonna do, man? Like, what is the goals in a nutshell of what you're gonna do? Not necessarily from a city perspective, but what's the next level for Chris Taylor? Because you're leveling up every day.
Can we add one piece?
Yes.
How can anybody help you in doing so?
There you go.
Impact that change.
Well, I'm already getting outraised 10-1, but I like being the underdog. You know, put a
Wait.
sign up.
10-1. What do you mean?
So if every dollar I raise, they raise 10.
Okay.
The guy I'm endorsing to replace me is getting outraised 58-1.
Wow.
So, you know, put a sign up. Come to the website, Chris Taylor for VB Mayor. Tell somebody you met me, and if I was kind, I'm kind. I mean, word of mouth, y'all get it. Y'all are in the business.
Absolutely.
I'm not asking people to send $25. It's tight right now for a lot of people. But whatever you can do, go to the website, share the link. We're getting ready to release a couple videos that we worked on. You know, in our society, you know, Instagram, Facebook, social media.
Absolutely.
Just something positive about the candidate is going to get us over the top. Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's a political machine, and I'm up against both. I got a Democratic endorsed candidate and a Republican. I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
And so I'm not getting the money from either party. I'm running down the middle. So, you know, go to the website, put a sign up, work the polls, get involved. That is the motivation for why I ran. I want to see more young people get engaged. And I'm encouraged because if you look at the slate of candidates this time around for city council, got a lot of young people because they saw that wall get bust open.
I have another question for you. Just because of the location, what type of impact do non-resident voters who are in the military have on the local races?
Not much, believe it or not. I mean, because you got what people don't realize is you got a lot of military or NATO, and they may have their mail-in ballot in Georgia.
Right,
They're not citizens; they're residents. So, as a you know, when you talk about strategy, I have to make sure that when I'm outdoor knocking, I'm mailing, that I'm hitting voters. And so, ask your friend, you know, are you registered to vote? I mean, I talk to people every day. They're like, man, I like you. I'm not registered. And I said, well, go get registered to vote.
So that's why I brought it up. And this is coming from veterans. When we move, when we're uprooted and just dropped off somewhere, the first thing on our mind isn't how can I impact the local legislation?
Right.
Right? So
Trying to get settled.
correct. So how do you all hit that target audience that, one, protects the very thing that you're doing, two, probably has thought-leading ability in all of those arenas, but three, they're not even casting a vote because they're not registered.
It's a societal challenge.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I mean, my district produced 57% voter turnout in the city council race.
Wow.
And we were, which resulted in a fifth of all the votes cast. That is impressive, but then that's also scary.
Right.
Because it's an 87%, it's a Caucasian district, and it's a affluent district. So it lines up with some of the generalizations and kind of stereotypes.
Right. Whereas we're talking about diversification and impacting all people.
So I feel good about I'm going to win District 8 again,
Right.
which is going to be either 20% or more of the vote.
Yeah.
But I want to be in those communities because here's the challenge. When they have a need and they don't know who their representative is, and the representative is no longer representing their voice, now they're just doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's not why you get elected.
Right.
And
You
so
get elected for the people.
When I get elected, the first thing we're going to do is open up City Hall to anybody and everyone. I'm going to have hours where the mayor's going to be in his office and you as a citizen can come in and talk to your mayor. That's a big deal.
That's
in
huge.
itself.
Huge.
Just
Love
if
it.
you don't have to be a special interest, you don't have to have the right watch, shoes, car. If you want to talk to your mayor, there's going to be a schedule. You can come in and set an appointment. That's getting back to the people. Number two, I'm going to lead with integrity. I'm tired of people saying they're going to do something, they don't do it. We can do better. And then third, the community is my focus. Every month, I'm going to get a bus, whether it's a church bus, a rental bus, and I'm going to get stakeholders in that community, and they're going to drive on that bus with me for a day, and they're going to show me their concerns in their community. Oh, you want begonias in the median, and there's no beautification in your part of the city? I want to see it, because what that's going to do is going to show me the issues that people care about, and then I don't have to get along or kiss anybody's butt on council. If I'm in their community more than that representative, I'm going to say, look, they want flowers over here in Kempsville. They want this. And I was on a bus for a day with them, and they're tired of not hearing you, seeing you, and the people will have control. It's really up to the people right now. This is a year where if the people don't stand up, if the people don't let their voice be heard, you can't complain.
I have one more. If you haven't noticed
I
yet,
thought
from
this
meeting
is
me
our
last
podcast.
time to now, my brain's always running. Okay, so if you're going to give anybody a breakdown, because here's another thing, as you find that it's ignorance equals fear. That's a quote from one of my other coaches, Kathy Schweitzer. Thank you. You have a lot of people, like you just said, that will complain and don't vote, or maybe they don't know how it works, and that's why they don't. So how do the local polls impact everything, right? Because a lot of people go vote for the president not realizing that it's your local polls that's
The downline.
actually
Yeah, I call it
impacting
the
your
downline, yeah.
impacting your life
council
the
members,
most,
your
right?
Planning
So
commission.
maybe just a little brief education, and we could put this on our platform just so whoever's watching us can understand, like why aren't you voting explicitly locally?
Yes.
Not necessarily at a national level. Where do you live, and what is happening there that you're complaining about every day? This is actually the election that can help you change
And
that.
ask yourself, what district do you live in? If you don't know, that's the first start.
There you
Because
go.
if you don't know a district you live in, you don't know who your representative
Yep.
is. That's the first. Second, any adult over 18 that cares should know what form of government they're in. We're not a strong mayor city. The mayor's not the CEO. The mayor's not the executive. We're in a council manager form of government. That means the city council is your legislative body, your city manager is your CEO. So really, if you have any issues in Virginia Beach, good or bad, with how the government's being run, you should be dealing with your city manager.
Right.
Most people want to call and gripe with the councilman. I'm his boss, but he runs day to day. And so understand that in our form of government, we come together to legislate ordinances, resolutions, but then we step away. It's a part-time job. And our city manager's running day-to-day operations. So your staff, you should be, if your trash isn't getting picked up, you should have a concern with your public works director, not your councilman. I can't tell the staff what to do. I don't have that authority.
Right.
And so you got to know where you live, who's your representative, what form of government you're in, and then you got to get engaged, whether that's a civic league, whether that's just, going down to City Hall and going, all right, I want to talk to the treasurer. I don't like my real estate tax bill. I want to go meet Sue Cunningham, the director of real estate. Or we had a young lady last week. I felt really bad for this young woman. She signs a lease with the landlord. The landlord tells her she can do something in that space that she can't do. There needs to be a conditional use permit for that space. So now she's stuck. She's in a lease. Y'all already know the deal. You're not getting out of that lease without twisting some arms or a really good attorney.
Yeah.
And so now she's got a 3-year lease. She can't do what she wants to do.
Which I would imagine impacted income or
Absolutely.
ability.
Now, I mean, every day counts.
Yeah.
And now she's before council. And I said to her, and some of my colleagues didn't like it, I said, let me just get this straight, ma'am. The mistakes you've made, is it because you're ignorant? And she says, sir, very ignorant. And I was like, wow. Like, for her to say that.
Honesty, man. Like
I mean, but we don't. Yeah, I'm ignorant. I don't know nothing. And listening to her, I realized she needed a representative. She needed someone that could walk her through zoning, someone that could take her to the planning department, someone that could explain the process of getting a conditional use permit instead of someone saying, you got it wrong, you should have done your work, you should have known better, and now you're screwed. That's not good governance. That's not government.
I agree.
And so get involved. Go to planning commission meetings. Go to the real estate meetings. I mean, get involved. Whatever you're passionate about. Go to the school board if you got kids. And then come with your problems, your issues, but also a solution.
And a perspective, right? A lot of people out here speaking on things they have no clue about.
Zero.
We were just reading it in a very public forum about our industry this morning that we choose not to comment in because only small minds discuss other people.
Fair enough.
But, leave that there. But I love everything you're saying. I just think it's important for whoever's watching this or listening to it to understand the difference and why it's important. And I think you did a great job explaining it. So
Appreciate you.
It's ironic. I go back and I've been here just as long as you have. I came down here when I was 2, so you've been here longer. But I'm basically local as they come. And I can remember like 2 mayors my entire life of living here. The one that's currently serving, and then the other guy that I forgot his name. But if I see him, I know exactly what it is. Because he popped up as a memory on something I did 10 years ago that we were both there.
Correct.
Now it's like, it seems like perspective here. Oh, there's a mayor. He stays in their office forever. That's not the case. I know it's not, because there's always a voting. What is the period of voting? How often does that happen from a mayor perspective? And once you're in, is this something you continue to stay on and from a local level, or do you have aspirations to serve the state outside of the city of Virginia Beach?
So no term limits in Virginia Beach. I think gubernatorial, our governor only gets 4 years, got to go. You can take a break and come back, but no term limits in Virginia Beach. City council is staggered in terms of the seats that run, but your mayor's every 4 years. So last election was 2020, which was a presidential year, but we had COVID.
Right.
So a lot going on. My goal, I always tell people, is I want to go home at night, because I've been offered, why don't you run for this? Why don't you run for delegate? Why don't you do that? And I said, because I can't go home at night. I got 3 kids under 7. This is not about ambition right now. Again, I left a business that we were scaling to the point where we were getting ready to do some things. And so at this point, with the sacrifice and knowing the state of our local government, when successful in November, I'm going to serve as the mayor. And if everyone likes me, which will never happen, but if enough people in Virginia Beach want to reelect me, I'll do 4 more years. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm term limited myself. If you can't get anything done in 8 years, you probably need to move on. And even if you get something done in 8 years, you move on. LeBron won his 2 ships and was like, I want to go down to Miami. I mean, I won one. Now I want to go do something different. So I don't aspire to be a delegate or a state senator. I don't aspire to be a congressman or a U.S. senator. I want to be the mayor of Virginia Beach. You got to tackle that first. It's going to be a big deal. Virginia Beach and the place of the first landing, largest city in the Commonwealth, most populated, a 40-year-old at the helm that doesn't look like the rest of them. And when I say the rest of them is what we've had.
Right.
Again, I love everybody, but how do we have no representation for 61 years of something that's representative of our city? And so I think there's going to be doors open. I've already been invited back to a mayor summit. I'm not the mayor. So other leaders around the country are seeing the shift is young people getting involved that care. I think we could do a lot in terms of the next 4 years in our city, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and talk about 20 years from now. Right now, I'm just trying to make sure I get home at a good time today so my wife can take the kids to his birthday party.
Right.
I love it.
I mean, Chris, you're as locals that come in, but we really appreciate you coming on the show today. We really do. You've explained your peak life. We have a question that we end with. What's the question that we typically end with the guests on the peak life concept?
Well, the question that we usually end with is, do you have any questions that you have for us that we could potentially answer? Any one of us or all of us?
I mean, ultimately, I spent so much time with my great-grandmother. I'm thankful of it. But she used to say, if you're not adding value, if you can't add value, then you'll never make friends. If your goal is to extract, and when I see this group, and again, I've known Julian for a while, I see a group of guys that are value-driven and trying to add something instead of extract. And so for me, when I look at your background and hear your background, I can understand LA's tough, rough. Foster, I can't even imagine. Can't empathize. Julian, I know your family. What was y'all's motivation to build something with the culture that you have? And that's a deep question. Is anybody can start a real estate company. I mean, it's not easy, but a lot of people do it.
Yeah,
But
successful one.
But I see
Yeah.
y'all being intentional about the culture here.
So I wish Eric was in here. when we decided to open a company, it was really like I've personally been in 4 different firms before I came here. Well, before I opened this, I guess. That's what was weird to say before I came here. Like, oh no, you kind of started it.
Yeah.
But all we wanted was a place where agents could find support, be themselves, and still learn how to do their job. And if you look around, most companies don't afford any of that. They don't teach you how to do your job properly, number one. They don't treat you like they care, number two. A lot of them will feed people just to use it against them later and hold on to them and imprison them. And just none of that aligns with us. We didn't believe in paying big splits when all of our business was sphere of influence. We didn't believe in other people making you sign agreements to get money off leads that aren't even theirs and then acting like they own them. We didn't believe in lying about our moral code and values to attract people and then just take 60% or 70% or whatever, all this crazy stuff that's happening out there that we have firsthand knowledge of. You know, we have over 300 real estate professionals. You go through a lot of people opening 7 franchises and signing over 300 folks. And even today, as of this morning, people like bad-mouthing people that they've never met, never sat in a room with, never gotten educated on what they're speaking on. And we just don't, excuse my French, fuck with any of that. My moral code is not one where we're going to sit down, pretend, fake, hide, lie, gaslight, smoke and mirror, whatever it is you're doing out there to get your business and then wondering why and blaming other people that you're failing.
Lack of accountability.
That's why. It's your accountability. It's your moral code. It's your ethics. It's your thought process up here that is telling you that everybody owes you something and you're entitled. No, that's wrong. You have to earn it. And people will formulate these stories about how people are winning. But the truth is they're winning because they're good people. They're working harder. Like, I'm not saying that everybody that's in a certain position is a genuine good person, because some people have things aligned in certain ways. But most people that built something from nothing are successful because they're just good, genuine humans. And that's all we wanted, was to surround ourselves with people that could be themselves, be successful, work as a team, don't screw people over, be fair, actually give a shit. You know what I mean? Like,
basics.
Yeah, I mean, really. And if you look at the wall on your way out, you've probably seen it. That's why we chose this brand and opened this brand. Independence, fearlessness, humility, ingenuity, integrity. Those are the company core values. And we added one for the local branch, authenticity. Because people are always like, well, damn, you get the same mic no matter where we're at. Yes, and you should.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Especially like do for one, do for all. That's a Jeff Glover shirt from Glover U. It's one of the places that I coach at. That's where it's like, I believe that. And that doesn't mean that everyone gets the same thing. That means that everyone gets the same opportunity.
That's good.
Whether or not you take advantage of it is on you. And I believe that we provide opportunity in the fashion that we wish we would have had it. And that's why we did it that way. You know, we're also 100% veteran owned. You know, we do things that people don't even talk about. We're SkillBridge approved with the Department of the Navy.
SkillBridge is a huge program.
We take veterans and help them transition out of the service. Why? Because we live that life. We know that it can be difficult. We know that getting into real estate can be rough, and you probably need to learn a few things before you think you're just going to get paid. We do suicide awareness every year on Veterans Day, right? Raise funds for a nonprofit. We don't have to do that. We want to do that. We love doing that. You see what I mean? So it's just different. We're doing a car show tomorrow. Not for any other reason other than we love classic cars. It's not a flex. Like, it's because one of our agents' father runs the car club and we respect them.
Okay.
And we have a couple classic cars. So we're like, hey, we'll come out. It's in Norfolk, the most highly populated military city in the world. So what we do, we press the little challenge coin. His wife got a connect that gets them made. The front's the car club. The back's Iron Valley. It's got the ethos on there. You know, it's just, to me, that's giving back to the community. Supporting somebody local. Gassing up something local. Bringing veterans together in the community that they're not that educated in. You know? Like, it's weird to just be living here and not know anything about it.
Right.
Who's educating those 15, 16 military installations on what it is to live in Hampton Roads? The answer is nobody. There's a gap. There's a pool of people that aren't voting. Like, I
But
mean,
they're still living here.
correct.
Yeah.
So their lives are directly impacted. So if they were educated, which is why I had you answer those questions, now they can go back and say, well, we're going to be living here the next 3 years, 5 years, or, hey, I thought we were moving, but we've been here for 20 years, and every sailor's laughing once they see that. If these things are going to impact your entire life, why are you still registered back home?
Minnesota. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's an education piece, and the people that are impacting you all's community in a fashion that isn't really being like zoned in on. All of your businesses here are successful because the government is right here by your side. So why are you not focused and targeted on actually helping those people instead of feeding off of them?
That's good.
Like
Culture.
all of those reasons are why I became an entrepreneur, so I could have a voice and a platform. And now I'm a coach and a speaker and an author and hanging out with somebody who's running for mayor. You know, which also I have to just give a note here. When we opened in 2020 during the pandemic, Mr. Dyer did come cut our ribbon.
Good.
You know, yeah, 100%. So
we
it's
get
just
along.
that
Me and him,
yeah,
we get
no,
along.
no doubt. I just know that everybody's going to have a story, and I think it's important to know that we did have representation from the city.
Good.
And I'm not even from here, so it's appreciated. You know, being a
And
veteran.
I appreciate you saying that because
Yeah,
there's also
absolutely.
like this. I know we're wrapping up where people think like, they go, "Who are you running against?" I said, "Myself."
Yeah,
Like I played sport, like I play ball. Like if I'm not in shape, I don't even have a chance against the best guy.
facts.
Yep.
So I'm running against Chris Taylor.
Absolutely.
And that's who's going to be at the finish line with me is me.
Of course.
And I got family, I got friends, I got supporters. But when it comes down to November 5th at 7 o'clock, because we want this race to be called early. I don't want to go till midnight.
I love it.
I'm going to be looking in the mirror, and it's not going to be, what did he do? Did they write you a check?
Yeah.
It's going to be, you put in the work. Now we move forward
Yeah.
and keep your word. So I
That's-
appreciate everything y'all are doing as a company, as a culture. And again, he's one of my best friends, someone I've known for a long time. The ability to see Julian prosper
Yeah.
and be able to look after his family. And again, we had a lot of conversations. That time, y'all provide time freedom. Y'all provide that ability for someone to earn money and be with their family.
I'm gonna drive by Julian's house today and see if he has a sign out in front. If not, I'll go put one.
I was
going
going
to
to say something the other day. I didn't because I know there's not a yard sign out front.
Gotcha. But
Hey,
if
guys,
people
support
want to go
local.
register, what's the website? What's the
So
web-
I'd go to the registrar's office or Virginia Beach Registrar. They can guide you in terms of, because for the district races, you only get to vote for the person in your
Right.
district. The mayor is at large. And some people, as y'all said, they're only going to vote for president or Congress.
I'm the opposite, and we had that conversation.
So go to the Virginia Beach
'Cause I get
Registrar's
it.
office. I know everybody's tech savvy. Google it. Where can I register to vote in Virginia Beach? You'll figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then, Chris Taylor for Virginia Beach, for VBmayor.com, for VB. Google it. And I appreciate y'all allowing me to come on this platform today. It's been a joy because y'all are all peaking and y'all are doing really well. And I know people think the peak's the end. It's not.
It's just the beginning.
That's
You know what you
There's
see?
another.
There's another mountaintop.
right
Yeah,
behind it.
we spun all this off of a training program, so
I didn't know that. And I hadn't even looked over there.
Yep.
So,
climb higher. You know what I'm saying?
amen.
Chris, what's the website again?
Chris Taylor for VB.com.
Got it. And social media?
Instagram, Chris Taylor for VB.
Gotcha.
Facebook, Chris Taylor from Virginia Beach City Council. Because I believe that just because you're running for office don't mean you stop doing your job that you're currently in.
I would have to agree with that as well. I still sell houses, so
Chris Taylor's running for mayor of Virginia Beach, currently serving city council. Thank you again for coming today. Seriously.
Thank y'all.
This is Chris living a peak life for VB, 2 up, 2 down. You know what that is. Julian Rivera, Mike Little, Edgar Munoz, and Chris Taylor. Thank you. Till next time. Later.
See ya.